So I guess we can start the session and people will be seeing the recording in the YouTube, I guess. Fine. So let me start the session and once again, good evening. Welcome you all to the session Linux Administrator, batch 203. And so the first thing is, so this is the course content. So you just scan this QR code, okay? So scan it and you can see the course content of like a PDF uh, in which like all the what is the curriculum and everything you can see. And this is the course fees and Karthik here, by the way. So yeah, today is the first session. So this is a demo session, by the way. And yeah, please do reach out to these contacts if you're stuck somewhere while paying, or if you have any login issue or any issue whatsoever. So you just reach out to them. And moving forward, I will give my email ID as well. So if you're having any technical doubts regarding the session, you can reach out to me, right? So and yeah, so there will be 4 to 5 sessions will be of demo so that you can understand and correlate if it is like you can understand my way of teaching. And if you do so, and you can pay for the session. And only for the paid candidates, the link will be shared from the sixth session. Okay, the Zoom link, by the way. And so this is the WhatsApp group link. So if you're not part of any of the Logic Labs WhatsApp group, and this is only for the people who are not part of, so like yeah, so if you're not part of this training group, like batch 203 group, so please do join with this link, and it is like it will be directly redirecting you to that. So let me click on that and show you. So in my case, it will open in WhatsApp web. So if you click on join chat and login, you're all set. Like like why WhatsApp means all the course related contents, or not contents, any communication related to the course will be sent via only WhatsApp, and all the course content and everything will be like it will be processed, or the recordings will be available only in the official site, which is Logic Labs Tech. It is a portal, by the way, so you can see a lot of courses like recently introduced as well. So you can enroll via like this. So you can go here and click on courses, and you would see my session or my course here, right? So yeah, and if you are so these are all the ongoing batches. So you can see our course here. So I need to scroll down also. Okay, so there is one more another session by different trainer. So that's fine. So if you still want a like if you don't have the specific time, or this timing of our session is not applicable in your case, like if you're not available during this timing, like 9 to 10 p.m., so you can opt for recording sessions as well. So this is the same content only. It would be. So this is my previous batch recordings. So you can like it will be right away. It will be access for you, and it is for lifetime. So anytime you can access this one, right? So that's the thing. So this is the basic thing, and so please do reach out to them only. So reach out to the support team if you are having any issues. Only from Monday to Saturday, and like between these timings, like IST, so 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. IST. So then only they will be available. Okay, so yeah. So this is my 12th batch with Logic Labs. And once again, let me introduce myself. So Karthik here. So I have RHCSA certification, and so I currently working as a platform engineer in one of the MNCs. And as of now, like I'm having 4 years of Linux administrator experience. So yeah. So first thing, what is Linux, right? So let me open a notepad. So as you guys know, Linux and Windows are not rivalries. So both kind of shaped the whole computer market, or the whole computer technologies itself is depends on these two like giants, right? So why? Because Windows has their own way of approach to the operating system, and Linux also. So, but Windows is a closed environment, means let's say, let me open the start, and I can't edit the settings, or I can't rename this to something, right? So, and I can't like change the configuration. So once I click the settings, it should redirect me to File Explorer. So I can't do that for sure. Whereas, why? Because it is a closed environment, and only Microsoft can do, and they will be pushing as a releases or updates, and through that update only all the operating system changes or any change log will be performed, right? So since it is only, there is a only centralized like the admin, or like only they can have access to all the core configuration files. Obviously you can also edit, but it would become as a your own canonical version, or your own dev version. So they do like appreciate that as well, but it won't be commercialized. Only their version will be commercialized, right? So that is the Windows point of view, whereas Linux is an open source. So what is open source, especially in Linux, is the kernel of it. So Linux kernel. So if you just Google Linux kernel and GitHub, you will end up with the below link, by the way. So if you click on this link, this guy is the founder of Linux. So there is not a single founder, by the way. So he is the one who coded the kernel, and it is also a fork of a previous kernel. So there used to be a different operating system during those times, like 1980s, and he did created his own version of it and released as a Linux, right? So it is a Unix operating system, first thing. And he created his own kernel. So in upcoming sessions, we'll see what is kernel and whatsoever. But this is the basic, or the most that you can see. So many folks and stars. And see these, like around 1.2 million commits are made to these files. So it is that old, and it is that latest as well at the same time. Why? Because this is the most, so you can create your own version as well. So that is the one of the best part about Linux is you can create your own versions of operating system. So that is where our the our session is based on Red Hat, right? So that's what, like, Linux is an open source, and there are Linux distros, so, or distributions. Right. So what is distributions or distros is nothing but, so you just Google Linux distros, and there will be a plethora of distros. Means, so there are famous one like your Ubuntu. Many would know Ubuntu, Fedora, and Kali Linux, which is for your penetration testing. So these three are the famous one, but you can see a lot of Ubuntu. Yeah, so Ubuntu is used in many colleges and many places. It's been like a go-to one, since it is almost similar like your Windows, right? So, but there is a lot of operating system, and you can even have um, actually there would be, yeah, DistroWatch. So if you can go to this site, and you can see here, so these many versions of Linux are there. There is around 950 Linux distros are there, and you can create your own as well. So that is the best part here. So you can see, so which is the popular one, it will be listed here, and it is MX Linux, Mint, Linux Mint, and a lot of the Manjaro is a like almost Windows look. The UI would be Windows, right? So now the next thing is, what why Linux is still relevant. So that is very important question, right? So because it's been, it is an open source, and it is purely run by a Linux community members. So you see, all these commits are, so it is not a centralized organization. So all are developers like you and me, right? So they cumulatively form the community and they contribute their like their skills as a like they develop some like one would develop some configuration file, one would do some driver file like that, right? So cumulative, it is a cumulative effect from the community. So why? So that is like far different compared to Windows, and how it is still relevant is that's what the community is so strong, and it has its own benefits, right? So why? Because in your Windows, so let me go to my task manager, and Windows is optimal, but Windows also has downsides, right? So it won't be optimal when it comes to your system resource point of view. So, like, and that's the main thing. So Windows server is there, but still it is not preferred by the mass audience, or many companies don't prefer Windows server. Okay, so that is the blatant statement. Why? Because that's what the resource distribution or the process, how it is consuming the resource, right? So it is not in a optimal way, whereas Linux does it perfectly, and it also has flaws, but not as much as your Windows. Okay, so moving on. So these are all the map actually. So our course map will be based on the first thing is your user management. So all this will be applicable for your both Windows operating system as well as Linux, but we will be concentrating on Linux one only. Okay, so that's the main thing. And yeah, so you see, like user management, which is like we'll be seeing. So all the topics also I'll be listing and I'll explain those. But user management is the first level of experience you must have as a Linux admin. So it is a level one. So let's say you are a Linux admin. So level one admin will be performing the user management. And as a senior resource also, you would obviously perform, but not to a certain extent. So only basic things like creation or providing the permissions or these kind of troubleshooting it, the permissions, right? So these kind of basic things only you will be performing as a user management in a senior point of view, but as a junior or entry level experience you have, so you are the one who will be responsible for all the user management, like from the sudo access and so many things. Okay, so that's the, so we will see extensively the user management. Why? Because that's important, and that is like a kickstarter for your Linux journey, right? So the next one is your disk management. And in our own system, so we will take disk management as granted, right? So since it is our own hard disk or SSD, so it is like we won't manage a lot in our own mission or in our own lab server. We won't do that. Whereas in a Linux environment or in any enterprise or any MNC companies, disk management is like it is like the most cost spent is only on disk, right? So because they rely on data, and that data should be there should be less latency, and it should be manageable. So that's the key here, because they do dwell uh, a lot of logs and very old data also they need to store it somewhere. So that's where disk management comes in, and yeah, so we will, it is a very important topic, especially for your interviews as well as for any like the basic or the BAU activities for a Linux admin, right? So this is like a go-to, you must do learn this as a Linux admin, no other choice for disk management. And moving on, the process management, so this is a unique one. So we will see this one actually. So a lot of services and like how the services interact with each other, how it is storing the logs. So a lot of stuff we will see in process management. And next is your server troubleshooting and server diagnostic. Okay, so we will see that as well. So this is also a important one. And last, only we'll be seeing the networking. So networking as it is itself is a subject, right? So networking It's a huge topic, so we won't be seeing too much of like what is IP, and so I will explain basic things, but we won't be seeing too much of networking since it is a separate thing. So I will give some links, and like only through a sysadmin point of view, like server point of view, how to configure a route, how to add a static IP, right? So those how to add a DNS entry. So those kind of things only we'll be seeing in like basic networking. So that's the reason I given as basic networking. And this is the roadmap, by the way, for our session. And it is the same thing here. And the next thing is, so we have a certification, or our course will be revolving around a certification, which is your RHCSA, which is nothing but Red Hat certified. Um, yeah, system sysadmin. Okay, so Red Hat certified sysadmin. And yeah, this is the exam code. So what is Red Hat now? So many people might have heard this term and saw their logo, but they might have never have an idea what is their portfolio, right? So why? Because they are a huge MNC now, and they do have their own support, and they are a very big company, by the way. And like what is the unique selling point of them is, so they took this kernel from Red Hat, sorry, from Linus Torvalds, and they build their own version. As I told, even you can build your own version, right? But what is the USP for them is they have their own supporting uh, team, and they innovated some more ideas based on the basic operating system. So the Red Hat is the one who initialized for enterprise how to make it efficient. So that's the reason it is called as RHEL, which is Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So it's been there for quite some time. So from 1998, it's been there. So yeah, so you see, if you see the all the products which Red Hat has in their portfolio, it is a lot. So they have their own cloud solution, which is like OCP. So, and you have, yeah, OpenShift Data Foundation. So many things they have. And yeah, OpenStack. And they are the one who own Ansible as well. So if you see in automation, you see Ansible. So they acquired Ansible, and they have their own satellite server for patching and all. And so many things, guys. Okay. So yeah, it is a huge company, and that's the main reason this RHCSA certification is still has its own credibility, right? So, so if you mention this RHCSA certification in your resume as well as in your LinkedIn profile, it has its own weightage, and it creates an impression that okay, this person knows something about Linux at least, because Linux is a typically a whole operating system, right? So in order to get that credibility, you should show something as a certification. So so this is for Linux, and for Microsoft it is MCSA. But the issue with that is they discontinued that certification, whereas they included or they bundled it with Azure. So you need to learn two technologies in Microsoft or in your Windows Server point of view. Whereas here, this is a starting point. And so why this is important, right? So this will, so, and I created my syllabus based on RHCSA. Okay, so if you just Google RHCSA or EX200, you will end up with this link. So if you go to the syllabus part, so mine will be mostly based on this Red Hat site only. And it is not accessible, is it? Just a sec. Okay, so there is a session issue, I guess. So it is not accessible. But the point here is, so my syllabus, right? So all the syllabus are based on RHCSA, or it is tailored around RHCSA certification. Okay. So once you are done with my session, and if you practice for next, like after session, like 10 more days, you can literally appear to the exam. And yeah, we will come back to the exams cost and those things later session. So so this is the syllabus. I will just go through the syllabus part. So first thing, obviously, I will give an introduction to the Red Hat operating system. So I mentioned RHEL 8. So obviously RHEL 9 is the latest one. To be precise, it is 9.3, right? So that's the thing. And we will see that how it is still relevant and how companies approach this RHEL operating system. And so we'll see. So obviously many would be already knowing that. So Linux is all about commands and the binaries, right? So what are all those commands and binaries? And so again, don't be afraid that, okay, there is a lot of commands to be remembered. Obviously, no, right? So it will be a basic commands only you will be using again and again, and you can have the help option as well, or the manual page is also available in the same mission, and you can access that with that command. So you should not be afraid of commands. So I came across many people who still think that, okay, it is very hard to learn. So obviously no, right? So that's the thing. And then the next session will be installing this one, since it is a practical one. So that's also one of the reason RHCSA has its own weightage. So there is no MCQ or anything. So it is a pure practical session or practical exam. And if you miss a question or a simple step, there won't be a mark for it, right? So because that is also considered. So there is no MCQ like your AWS certifications. So that's the main reason it has its own credibility, I would say, because so within that 3 hours of time span, you need to understand the question and answer the in a practical way. So that is not hard and easy at the same time. So it is like a mixed bag of both. So that's the thing. And yeah, so in next session we'll be seeing how to install, and I'll be like after this going through the syllabus, we'll be seeing, or I will be showing you the resource section. So you just download the ISO and we'll be installing in like our local system as well as in any one of the cloud service provider. So we will see that what is the basic requirement if you want to install in your own system, as well as if you want to install in your cloud. And both are free, by the way. So don't think that, okay, cloud means you need to pay for it. So you will see that how to do that as well, right? So in upcoming session. So the next one is very important, which is your performance monitoring. So why? Because so first thing, in your production servers or in your any enterprise, let's say a company called as let's say TCS. So TCS as a client, um, like let's say Citibank. So any banking site or any companies will reach out to TCS. So Citibank has their own servers, right? So servers are, it won't be like in like not 100 or 200, it will be in thousands, like 15,000 servers, let's say. So you can't monitor each server by, like, let's say you can't assign a single person to monitor only that server. Obviously, no, right? So there's a lot of servers in place and very less resource. So in a typical or TCS will have a team of 10 people. So how 10 people can manage 15,000 servers? So now is where your monitoring tool comes in. So the monitoring tool will be having all the metrics, like your CPU or all your resources will be loaded: CPU, memory, GPU, and obviously your disk. So all this will be loaded or configured in a way that it will alert if something is, there is a spike in CPU or any one of the metrics, right? So the point here is you must not only have a Linux admin knowledge, whereas you should also understand how a monitoring tool works. So it need not to be a practical way. So let's say how at least it works, you just understand it, right? So that's the thing. And there are so many monitoring tools, by the way. So you have Dynatrace, which is a well-known one, and you have Grafana and many New Relic. So all these are like a open source one. Means obviously you need to pay if you are using in enterprise, but as of now you can install either one of these. So New Relic, Dynatrace is a paid one, unfortunately. Like you can only use the evaluation version of this one, like trial of 15 days. It does allow, and I will try to show you how to configure your system with New Relic. Okay, so in later session, like in day 15 or 18, something like that, we'll see that how to configure it and why that is important as well. Because that's what, like in your interviews, they do expect you to have knowledge on that as well. So that's the performance monitoring, and it is one of the core elements as a sysadmin you must have. And the next one is where like our user management. So first thing, all the basics like how to create a user, all the user manipulation commands like create, delete, update a user, how to set a password and those things. And lastly is your super user access, means your sudo access, and how to create a environment so that it is called as restricted user, means he can run only few commands, and how to restrict him to only go to a certain path. So these are all restrictions which must be there in an enterprise environment, because not everyone should have all the access, right? So there should be a there should be a rule so that it will be followed. So which is called a sudoverse file. So we will see that those as well. So those are all very important files, by the way. And the next one is, so we will see much more actually. So I just mentioned basic things. So we will see much more in your user management and group management. So in your production servers, groups are the go-to management thing. Why? Because obviously user also is there, but that though like they can't manage in a user level, whereas group level, let's say you're having backup team, application team, so all the access will be delegated to that team, and the simply that user will be added to that team, right? So he will be delegated all the access, or it will be inherited to him, right? So that is the easiest way for any companies, and they do use that practically. So we'll see how it is done, and yeah. So moving on to the OS concepts. So these are all the basic, all the copy functionality and all the file manipulation commands like copy, move, delete, and how to search a term. So grep is used to search a pattern in your file, and how to create a file. So all those things are comes under your essential tools, and the copy. And so this is your remote session. So how to open a remote session with your to your machine or to a different server, how to do that. And so how this archiving works. So archive is like a very important one, especially in your enterprise, as you will be working with a lot of logs, and those logs should be preserved at least for 1 or 2 years. So how would you preserve? And it should not also like consume a lot of storage as well. So because as I told, storage is like the most like the cost like your budget will be going only for your storage, right? So you should be diligent enough to reduce the storage at any cost, right? So that's where your archive will be used. And yeah, so what is a hard link and soft link and all the file permissions. So this is a simple step, but file permissions is a very important concept, especially as a Linux admin, because you will be performing that on day-to-day basis. Like if there is a file permission issue for any application team or any team, you are the one who can perform it, because since you are having the admin access or root user access. So the next one is obviously your basic sysadmin activities, which are how to manipulate your booting procedure. So in next session, we'll be seeing that as well. So after installation, you'll be seeing the booting procedure, and yeah, so that one, and how to identify the basic CPU metrics. So just like a task manager. So here it will be bit easy in your Windows, and whereas in Linux also it is easy, but there will be a lot of information. So how to identify those? Right? Let's say if something is spiking, which is a non-relevant process, we should kill that, right? So we will see how to kill the process, and how to backtrace and analyze those things, right? So why that process suddenly spiked in the first place? So you will see those things, as well as how the tuning profile works, as well as how to analyze a log. As a sysadmin, that is very important skill, and we will see that. And how to preserve a syslog, like your journal logs. And so I just given a network service as an example, but we will be seeing all the service in your mission. How the service, like it is called a system CTL, the command, and so using that we will manage all the services. So services are nothing but your Windows services are, these all are Windows services which will be running. So you can see the status, it is still running. So these service cumulatively must run in order to serve your mission, right? So let's say um, so power is for your power management profiles. So like that, you have many important services in your Windows. So similarly, Linux also depends on services, and we will see how to manipulate those. So lastly, you see this like how to transfer files using SCP and rsync. Okay, and the next one is your disk management. Okay, so disk management, the main thing is your LVM. So first thing we will see how to add a disk and how to format it to a specific file system format. So this file system terms are a bit new to you, since like in your Windows you might not formatted it to a specific file system format. Like you would have formatted for sure, but you are not understand it why there is a file system format in the first place, right? So you will see that extensively. Like here, the file system format is NTFS, which is a new type file system. So that's the NTFS. So like that, even Linux has their own file systems. So we need to format it to use that partitions, right? So those things we'll be seeing. And a lot of important topics will be there in your disk management, especially. So we will see all those and how the LVM concept. So what is LVM here? Logical volume management. And that is what you will be doing in your day-to-day task, especially in your BAU activities. Okay, so very important one, and we will see that. Okay, so the next one is here. It is also the same. So how to so first thing, you won't be creating again and again. So in my case itself, so I won't create this partition again and again, right? So rather I will extend that partition, but that extension concept itself won't be applicable in Windows point of view actually. So so if I want to extend or I need to combine disk 1 and 2, it is not possible, unfortunately, in Windows, because disk management itself is not updated for like from Windows 7 days, it is not updated, right? So, but in Linux, that is one of the unique selling point. So we will see those things as well. And don't be overwhelmed about these many concepts. So it is, so again, it is like a very 10% of Linux, what we will see. So there is a lot of, so you can go too deep into the topics. So each, you can, there is an advanced topic of each points which I mentioned here. So that's the thing. So, so status and video are kind of advanced level of LVM. So we will see those as well. And moving on, so security part. So as I told, in any operating system, in order to make it like usable, so there should be a security in place in order to safeguard the data, since data is the key, right? So, and that is where your security comes in. And as many might already know, Linux is one of the most secure operating system. And why? Because all the hackers or malware, uh, like uh, like malware agents, or the person who creates the malware or adware, right, or creating a virus, so they will go towards the mass audience. So Linux is also having a mass audience, but Linux is like least preferred for like a common people, right? So because it is having a it is also having GUI, but not to a certain extent. Like you can't get the same experience like your Windows, right? So Windows, almost everything is available. Like from your gaming, you can use for your office use, so many things. Whereas in Linux, it is much it is mostly concentrating only on enterprise point of view. So fully efficient way it will be, right? So that's the thing. So why I told that is, so security. So most organization which creates the virus or creates the adware, they won't even prefer Linux. So that's the harsh truth, and that is good thing, right? So like there won't be much. It is much more secure first thing. Okay, so we will see how this key based authentication works, and that is what will be so even in your AWS or any cloud service provider, they prefer key based. So many people I seen, so they using key based authentication, but they don't know what is private key or what is public key, and what is the like how they're communicating, right? So we will see a session fully dedicated only for key based authentication, and that you can expect that in your interviews as well. Okay, so that's the thing. And like in security, you have firewall as well. So even Windows has their own firewall, and we will see how effective it is in your Linux machine. And you have a separate concept called as SE Linux, so we will see that as well as I told before, how to restrict a user with like a specific commands in his own shell. So all this terminology, so you don't worry about that. So all this terminology will get a fair idea in upcoming sessions. Okay. So moving on, your basic networking, as I told, so we'll be configuring a static IP. So the next session itself, we will set a host name for the machine, and the how the network services, like how to restart it if it is stuck, and check the logs as well. So how or what went wrong. So those kind of stuff will be seen. Again, it is only server point of view, not a networking as a whole. Okay. So moving on, so the containers are kind of advanced topics. And again, we won't see too deep in containers for sure. So since it is a separate concept, and Red Hat has their own version of container solution as well, which is nothing but it is called as Podman, and it is like kind of replica of your Docker. So I guess many might already know Docker. If so, can you can someone put it in the chat? Do you guys know Docker? Um, Ramakrishna, Shai, or someone? So, so Docker is a containerization tool. So that is a very famous one. So, and it is also in your DevOps methodology, right? So yeah. So Podman is like a Red Hat solution for the containers. Okay, so we will see that as well, and how to create a startup service. So this is a actually your Red Hat question. Okay, so the lastly we'll see the VMware vSphere. So why vSphere, or what is this version, by the way? So vSphere is the one which you will be seeing in your production servers, by the way. So means if I show you, so this kind of user interface only you will be seeing. One second, let me make my clear one. Yeah, so this kind of user interface only you will be seeing in your uh, like in your company actually. So not the one. So this is the one which we will use. So this won't be the same. Okay. So there is a major difference between both, and we will see that. So if time permits, we'll see this one. Okay. So only this, because it will be fully packed, and let's see how it goes. Okay. But I will try to show you how this, at least we will start a line or install a Linux machine in this one, and how this data store on a lot of things. It will be bit different in your VMware ESXi host. Okay, so that's the thing, or VMware vSphere. And once again, it is a paid session, so not a free one. And so after uh, 4 or 5 sessions, only for the paid candidates, the link will be shared. The session is of 4K, and in USD it is around $48. Okay, and yeah, so the timing is from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. IST, and this is the drive link for it. So this is what my resource section is. So if you go to that link, or if you don't have access to that, so just type bit.ly/linuxll. If you type that, I'll even mention in this chat as well. So it will redirect you to the same link. Okay. So it is just a link shortener. And so, yeah, this is the resources, and it's been there for quite some time. And this is where I will be sharing all the operating system. Like we have ISOs here, right? So ISO and VMware in your drive. Why? Because we can share the resource in your like through the portal as well. But since your ISO itself will be around 10 gigs, so it is a huge in size. And drive, anyhow, it will be faster for you to access in drive as well. So, and I won't change this link, so you can just click on bookmark, and it will be available you forever to you, right? So the next one is your question paper. So this is the kind of a model question paper. So here you can see all the topics which we just now saw in the syllabus point, right? So first thing is your networking. So how to configure the basic networking, and your repository, your security point with your CLNX, user management, your process management in cron tab, again file permission, your NTP, AutoFS is for your NFS, and file permission. So many are there. And lastly is your disk management, right? So, and this Q21 is your containers. So the point here is, so when you complete my syllabus, so you will be in a position to answer all the exam point of view, as well as you can easily attend any interviews, so which is of these roles. So again, right away you should not. So first thing, you should prepare for the interviews and all, but you will be eligible for those. So first thing is your obviously Linux admin, and next one is your system engineer. So engineer, in some companies, system engineer role will be there, and you can start your journey with your DevOps as well as your SRE, which is your site reliability engineer. So once you're done with your basic Linux knowledge, so you can kickstart all these, or you will be eligible for all these roles. And yeah, that is a good thing, right? So so when it comes to a typical developer or any developer, so so he will be sticking to that programming language for some time, quite some time, right? So whereas here, so if you are done with this, so obviously no one can master Linux, right? So since it's a whole operating system, so you can at least learn 40 to 50% if you put some time. And once you're done with that, so you can start with your DevOps journey. Like you can learn, so as I told, monitoring tool, like Grafana is one of the famous tool, Grafana, New Relic. So those kind of tools you can start learning. And uh, so like that, you can learn one for version control, like your Git. So like that, so this Linux will kickstart all those. So why? Because so the main thing is all these tools which I mentioned, like Jenkins, Kubernetes, all have a CLI in common. So CLI full form is command line interface. And you have GUI as well, so which is your graphical user interface. But one issue with your like your user interfaces, right? So CLI is nothing but your, let me open command prompt. So this is what you will be interacting with your machine, right? So let's say if I type some word, or let's say date, so that will give the current date. So like that, only a specific, let's say something new or something. So it is a not a binary, or there is no command in place, so that the system can't recognize it. So that's the error you're seeing here. Whereas if you type dir, which will give the all the directories in my system of the current path, all the files and directories, it will list like that. So many commands will be there, and that is your CLI part. So this is the only thing in your you will see once you logged into your system. And why CLI matters, right? So CLI is the go-to one, especially in your enterprise. So, and why? Because so many would think that okay, GUI is faster. So obviously no. So let's say if you want to create 10 files, CLI is like a way faster you can create with the same name, or it should be in a series of name. So simply you can do that in a single command. Whereas in your GUI, you need to do lot of things is for a simple task, right? So not only that, so a lot of advantage CLI has. So why I brought that up is, and that's the important thing. And what is the use of GUI? So GUI is the one which you are seeing, right? So in your okay, so in your Windows, so you have GUI, and let's say let me go to settings, and you see you can interact with all these icons, and any, like there is a font and icons, so many things, and you are interacting with your cursor and your keyboard, right? So this works in a different user interface or different perspective compared to your CLI, because in CLI you can't interact, right? So just you can copy it, but you can't double click and it won't open, right? So that's the main difference. And so why I brought this up is, so you will be encountering a lot of uh, different tools in CLI version. And if you have Linux knowledge, you can put that knowledge in test, and you can master those tools as well. Or you will have a portfolio with a lot of tools, and Linux will be the backbone of almost everything. So that's the main reason people are Linux is still relevant, especially, right? So, and Red Hat does it perfectly. That if you have Red Hat certification, it is even have much more credibility, right? So, and the certification cost, let me tell you that as well. So, this is the certification code. So you can just Google this one, and you will be redirecting to that. And the cost of it is around 19K. So let's say 20K. So including GST and all those, so it will be around 20K. And yeah, so that is for your exam point of view. Okay, so yeah, is there any questions, anyone? Sorry, I dragged it too much. So please do ask any questions you have, like what to, like what and all it would be covered, or if you have any doubts in the syllabus part, so please do let me know. And in next session we'll be installing, and since it is all practical, so right away we'll be installing. So I will urge you to download this. So yeah, so just go to this link, which is again, just let me send this link once again. And so please do bookmark this link and go to, so once you are in this link, so go to this IS on VMware and download this last two files, guys. So again, don't select both and click on download. So because it will create a zip which is not recommended. So if you do like this, so you see, it will perform the zip and it is fine, but still it will download the same file. So why? Because the zip it will create for the whole 9 gigs, right? So it will take some time. So please don't do that and waste your time. So just right click and download separately. And this is the ISO. You will see how to install these in next session. Okay. So yeah, and this is your VMware. So please do download these two, which is around 9.4 gigs, your ISO, and your VMware one is of 600 MB. So I will show you anyhow in next session how to install these two as well. And yeah, so that's the thing. So any doubts till now, like in the syllabus part or in general, any query, anyone? Yeah, Ramakrishna, you're unmuted. You're unmuted. I'm not sure any audio issue from your end, and you can type it out, Ramakrishna, if you're having any audio issue. Okay, Shaik.
Uh,
Perfect. Yeah, yeah, Ramakrishna. Yeah. Tell me.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yes. Currently, I'm working as a DevOps engineer.
Uh-huh.
Just
Perfect. Yeah.
can so for me, my question is, as a Linux admin, you are telling about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, if I learn this, I can be able to write some of the shell scripts. In that also, you can help me on that.
Actually, scripting point, we won't be doing that, but because it is like scripting is a separate topic, right? So we won't cover scripting, but like a basic operation point of view, we'll be doing that, Rama. So that's the thing. So scripting is like that is a separate course actually. So that's what we won't cover scripting actually in our
Oh, okay.
course.
Because
Mm-hmm.
as we are working as a DevOps engineer, somebody is asking like,
To
as we have
automate,
the servers,
yeah. So
servers access and everything. For that users, they want to create the users
mhm.
and keep the password expiry dates for those users. Like that, they want
Yeah,
to keep a shell
those
scripting
kind of
like that.
ad hoc. Yeah, sorry to interrupt. So those kind of ad hoc commands, I will be explaining you. So don't worry about those commands. But scripting like your shell scripting or some your YAML scripting for your Ansible. So those we won't cover, okay? But your ad hoc commands, like as you told, the creating a user and setting a password for expiry right away, it should expire and he should reset on his behalf, or it should expire within 90 days. So those kind of ad hoc commands or commands in general, we'll be seeing those. So don't worry about those things. But that's what, like shell scripting, we won't be seeing because the main motto of this like this session or this course would be like to introduce Linux to everyone. And so it is main target is beginners and intermediate level. So we won't see advanced topics. So the only advanced topic here is your containers. So yeah.
Mm. So, what is the difference between vSphere and the containers?
No, both are not related. So vSphere and your workstation. So VMware workstation, right? So if you see in workstation, so it is like it is also having all the features like your vSphere, but there won't be a domain controller. So if you let me compare both. So first thing, your user interface itself would be different, and here there would be centralized host or a centralized controller here. Okay, so you can create, let's say you're having, let me take the Citibank example itself. So you have Citibank in many countries, right? So Citibank dot, let's say Europe. So it will be having a separate domain controller for that Europe region. And like that, so your DNS will be in place and that would serve it. actually. So it is bit different, or it is much more reliable in your or many services were used in your or will be used in your VMware ESXi host or VMware vSphere. So both are same, by the way, which is the one will be used in your work environment. So they won't use workstation. In none of the companies will use that. So that's the thing. And workstation also has almost every important services like your networking, your storage solution. So if you 1 second, let me click this. And if I go to settings, I can add all the basic hardwares like storage, hard disk. Anytime I can add it, but it won't be as seamless or it won't be as good as your ESXi or your vSphere. So again, that's what you will be using in your work. So that's the thing. Okay. And Anuj, yeah, we will. I will cover how to do the server patching. So I will give you the commands. Mainly, we will see the server patching in the yum perspective, like yum command. So for the satellite servers, obviously we don't have, or I don't have the access to satellite since it is a paid one, right? But I will be sharing you how to do that and how it is working, especially. So it will be covered server patching. So I didn't included that. So not only that, so some of the few concepts we will be seeing actually in the session. So don't worry about those important concepts. Okay. So yeah. So any other doubts? Anyone? Again, the recordings will be sent to your portal. Okay, so you just go to your Logic Labs portal and it will be there. And today's session and the demo sessions, right? So it will be uploaded to the YouTube channel of Logic Labs. So you can watch it there, and you can see my previous batches as well. So if you want to get a fair idea how my training would be, so you can go to that. And 1 second, let me share that screen. Yeah. So yeah, this is my previous topic. Sorry, previous batches. Sorry, not mine. Let me show you mine because there is a lot of trainers actually. So a lot of videos would be there. This is Sonika. So Sonika is another trainer, by the way. And 1 second. Lot of videos. Just I will give you one video link so you can go through the series actually. Just a sec. Let me do a search itself. Yeah, so you can go through my previous batch. So 161, so 177. So all these are my previous batch recordings. So you can go through these, and so you will get a perspective how it is or how my training would be. So it will be purely practical, first thing, and very few theory part you will be seeing. And yeah, so that's the main thing. So, yeah. So any other doubts, anyone? And please do bookmark this resource, and if possible download this ISO, because in tomorrow's session I will be installing. So yeah, and we'll be seeing if time permits, we'll be seeing how to install in the AWS or GCP. Okay, so for the people who can't install in your base machine, we'll be seeing that as well. Okay, so yeah, and it's already time, so it's 10, right? So yeah, we'll wind up for today's session, and thanks all for joining. And let's see in tomorrow's session, guys. Yeah, have a great day. Bye bye.